Okay, well everyone, this is Heather Barefoot. She's an influencer relations specialist with Ignite Social Media. And among her obsessions are video games, TV, movies, and anything pop culture. She started working with Ignite as an intern, and she's going to tell you all about that and her experience. And when she said her name was Barefoot, you know, immediately asked, you know, are you from this part of the country? Because there are a lot of Barefoots here. But did you grow up around?
I grew up in Central Virginia, and I was the only Barefoot in Central Virginia. It's a very different climate when you're the only Barefoot. You get a lot of like, it's not really your name, is this really your credit card? You're not allowed in this restaurant, that kind of deal. When you come down here and you're kind of in a sea of Barefoots, it's less uncommon. So it was a weird change for me to be like, oh, you don't need to see this? Okay. But
it's a great marketing tool because it's
a
very memorable name.
Yeah, if I were to ever try to be a celebrity, I'd probably keep it forever because Barefoot is really only common here, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give the floor over to you.
Okay.
So welcome.
Cool. Thanks for letting me come to talk with you guys today. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what an influencer relations specialist is, just because those words don't really mean anything outside of a social media agency. And then the rest of the presentation is really going to be catered to graphic design and how you guys can get a job in social media with graphic design tips and tricks. So an influencer relations specialist, I work on a day-to-day basis with, think about your favorite bloggers or your favorite YouTube celebrities or your favorite Twitter stars. I work with them and I try to build relationships with them based on my brands and create partnerships and campaigns based off of that. So the influencers end up kind of being my own graphic designers for the campaigns. So they make their own content, and it's really shareable. They know how to do it well for their audiences. So it's a little bit like working with graphic designers on a daily basis too. So let's get started. Oh, also, this doesn't have to be an hour of me just talking. If you guys want to throw out some questions, I'm here to answer them whenever. It doesn't have to be at the end. It can be an hour of me just talking, and you don't. So it's really up to you guys. So let's get going. Social media is kind of hard. Now, Dawson thinks it's hard because he's from 1998, and we didn't really have social media in 1998. But there are lots of agencies out there that feel like social media can just be tacked into their existing strategies. And that's not really the case. It deserves a little bit more respect than that. It deserves a little bit more of its own deal. Social media is huge now. We all know it. We all live our lives through it. So please stop making Dawson cry and understand that social media is a little bit difficult. So I am going to walk you guys through other kinds of agencies and then what my agency does. We are a social media agency specifically. So, what's going on? So this is an ad agency, and before I get too far into it, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview with this graphic, because there's a lot of parts here, and you guys might not be able to see all of them. But essentially, social media strategy can be broken down into 3 overall parts: community management, social analytics, and social web design programs, which is where I focus. That's my team. Social analytics, I'm going to get into a little bit later, but they are typically the people who are helping us make quantitative success stories with our campaigns. They're doing all of the math so that I don't have to, which is great. So at an ad agency, their primary focus is to create branded content. So think about the Old Spice guy. Awesome brand, awesome content, right? We all still remember him. It's been a couple years. That's a great thing. Yeah, it's been a couple years since the Old Spice guy.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's weird to think that you still remember him. I can still bring him up now a couple years later, and most of the people here are thinking, oh yeah, I remember that guy. That ad agency did what they were doing. They really, really well. But it's not social inherently, and it's not all that an agency should be doing, or all a brand should be doing. PRs, or PR firms, or public relation firms, they are really good at crisis support and social listening. So that's helping a brand make sure that their reputation is maintained online. They'll make sure that no crazy complaints are gone without a response. And social listening basically just gives an overview of all of the conversations happening around your brand, good and bad. So that's brand sentiment. You probably hear that a lot. They're also doing influencer engagement, which is my job. I'm going to say they're not doing it as good as I'm doing it, but they're getting better at it. they're not just tossing out mass press emails anymore, which is a good step. Still, it's only part of this overall social media strategy. We've got a lot more to do before it's a full strategy. Digital ad agencies, or digital agencies, focus a lot on creating websites or applications and integrating social APIs. So does anybody know what API means? Anybody know? Okay. Well, you use them on a daily basis. API stands for Application Program Interface. So who uses Spotify here? You ever sign into Spotify with, click, hey, use your Facebook to sign into Spotify? You know what I'm talking about? So that is Spotify using Facebook's API to allow you to do that, make your life a little bit easier. It's also the reason why you're on Spotify, your friends can see what you're listening to and you can see what your friends are listening to. They're just talking to each other. So digital agencies really focus on making that a seamless transition. Again, still not the overall, all of the social. You guys are probably going to know what's going to happen next. We do all of it. Ignite Social Media is the original social media agency. We were created back in 2007 and with the goal to bring together people who are experts in their field and who have passion for social media. And that's still the kind of employees that we're looking for today. We're looking for people who have knowledge and drive. So if you have both of those, you're a shoo-in, basically. So here's a sort of visual representation of what we do. We're full service, so what that means is we do strategic consulting. My team belongs to the strategy team. The strategy team's job is to put together ideas and campaigns and content for the brands that fit with their overall goals. I'm promotions, which is part of that strategy team. Whenever you guys are online and you see a sweepstakes or giveaway and you're like, man, I really want that free hotel stay, somebody like me is running that. We're going to help pick the winners. We're going to help fulfill that. We spend a lot of time in Excel spreadsheets. Then we have reporting, which is analytics. They are the reason that one of the reasons that our clients find success in our campaigns because they help us make a quantitative number value to what happened with the content. They'll be able to tell us which content performed best on social channels and which content didn't perform best. They're good at helping the number side so that we can come up with a story for the qualitative side, make a rounded experience for the client. Media buying, when you guys see promoted posts, like promoted on Twitter, say, I don't know, Oreo's promoting something, somebody in a media buying section is doing that. They're playing with budgets and making sure they're reaching demographics across the nation. So they're geo-targeting for maybe there's a crazy Oreo coming out that's only North Carolina focused. They're going to put all their money in making sure that you guys see it instead of people out in California. And then community managers. So when you go to a Facebook page and you want to talk to a brand or interact with a brand or say, hey, I really love this thing that you guys made, you're actually talking to a community manager. You're not talking to the brand. Exactly. You're talking to a brand expert. They have direct ties in with the brand, but you're not there talking to like the VP of marketing who's just trolling their Facebook page all the time.
I actually have a friend who she runs the social media, like she runs Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for a big printing company, Canvas on Demand.
Cool, yeah.
So she does their work.
Yeah, she's a community manager, and she's the first line of defense for when anybody has a problem. Now, a lot of times people are like, man, maybe my paper was off a little and I need to figure out how to fix it. They're not really going to call anymore. They're going to go to a Facebook page or a Twitter and be like, why is this wrong? She's the person who's fielding those and flagging them for the client. Yeah?
I kind of did that indirectly.
Oh, yeah?
To Taco Bell.
Oh, yeah?
I got a smushed quesarito and I was pissed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And tweeted a picture of it, and I was contacting their community manager, and he tweeted me back.
Yeah.
And
Did you make it right?
yeah, he made it right.
Yeah.
They gave me a gift card.
And it's cool because not only are our community managers probably some of the coolest people I know, but they get to make your problems better, which is a good feeling at the end of the day. All right. So you guys are about ready to hit the job search, right? I heard that you're ready to get out there, hit the ground running. So I have some tips. We're going to start with general, and then we're going to roll into graphic design. So first, appearances. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about resumes, cover letters, portfolios. You're creatives. You're going out to get a creative job. Your resume and your cover letter should really reflect that. There's a statistic that says that your resume is going to get looked at for a total of 6 seconds. That is really disheartening to hear. So in 6 seconds, what am I going to get off your resume? Your name, where you're working now, maybe where you went to school, and that's it. So if you take the skills that you have and apply them to your resume, make your resume still professional but eye-catching, you're going to give yourself that extra boost of a little bit more for the HR person who is going to see word like day in, day out, word, and it gets to be a sea of black and white. So this is an example of one of my older resumes. I used a template because I only have a minor in graphic design. So I'm not great at making my own templates, but this one has seen me through a lot of trying times in a job search, and it shows that you understand at least a little bit of visual interest. Your cover letter, I was told to come in here and tell you guys, my boss and several other bosses in Ignite Social Media have hired people just off of their cover letter alone. So a lot of people tend to toss their cover letter aside, like it's no big deal. They maybe copy and paste the same 3 paragraphs that they wrote. Hi, I would like X job. I think I'm good at it for this reason. You have a potential to either win or lose the job right there. Your cover letter is going to act like it's a way for the employer to see how you professionally communicate, and it will give them some insight into how you're going to communicate with clients on a daily basis. So my tip here is you're going to want to be professional, put a little bit of your own personality. A lot of this is going to come back to knowing the culture of the company you're applying for. So if your company seems fun and interesting, maybe put a little joke at the end or something that is going to catch their interest. But I also think you should use your visual skills to make that flow from the resume and the cover letter pretty seamless. Maybe take this time to try out making a cover letter like letterhead that fits with the same kind of resume that you're doing. Something that's going to give them not just a blank word page to look at again. And your portfolio. You're going to think this is kind of a common sense thing, but a lot of people show up without any examples at all of what they've done, which is really silly. And you're basically guaranteeing yourself an end of that conversation right there. So whether you have a physical or a digital portfolio, you should come with a couple examples that you can hand off and show them, like here's 2 or 3 of my favorite pieces of work. But I'm also going to say, if you have, does anybody have a digital portfolio, or has anybody worked in like mobile, done anything with mobile? If you have something that you can pull up on your phone on mobile and show the interviewer in your interview, that's awesome. It's a great boost because we work in mobile every day. Everything we do is also optimized for mobile. So you can't get around it. You can't get away from it anymore. So if you can say, oh no, here's something that I did on mobile, that's already showing that you understand mobile and that you're ready to jump in, ready to go.
And that also shows that you understand the trends that are happening.
Exactly.
More mobile devices are being sold than.
Yeah, and there's statistics out there that people spend way, I don't have the exact number, they spend way more time on their mobile phone than they have done on their computer in a very long time. That's why everything that we do, including our social creative, our campaigns, all of that is optimized for mobile so that you have a seamless way to check it and do it on your phone. My next tip for your resume, the actual paperwork section, is make sure you take the time to personalize it. If you don't, we're going to know. We've seen blanket resumes, we've seen blanket cover letters before. All you have to do, it's really, really easy. All you have to do is find your job description, take 2 or 3 keywords from your job description, and loop them into your resume and your cover letter. And we're already going to think, oh, okay, you took a little bit of effort out of your day to make sure that we knew you read this. All right, speaking of effort, we're going to talk about what to wear and what not to wear at an interview. These people are all Ignite social media employees who have all generously donated their time to me for this campaign and allowed me to take pictures of them in less than stellar circumstances. So again, a lot of this is going to feel commonsensical, but you would be so surprised how many times people show up to interviews looking something like this. And it's a real shame. Don't wear shorts or flip-flops. Just Just don't. Even if you feel like the company's a cool, loose kind of culture, at least wear jeans. At least wear full-length pants or a skirt. Don't wear pajamas. Don't look like you're going to come right out of bed and roll into your interview. Again, you want to look a little professional here. You don't have to look super stuffy. You don't need to be wearing like a giant suit. You just need to look put together. Also, don't go overboard. This woman in blonde is my boss. And she decided that she wanted to be part of this too, so I gave her the mini skirt outfit because I could. Don't wear a mini skirt. It's not going to put you in a line of like feeling credible, feeling trustworthy, feeling like you can stand up in front of a client and talk about what you do in any way where the client's going to not think, man, she's wearing a mini skirt. That's not cool. This next one here is not terrible. The color of the shirt is good. Anything with a pop of color is a really great way to incorporate your visual skills, but don't pair it with holy jeans, and don't pair it with those heels you wore on Saturday that are just still in the back of your trunk, the only pair of heels you got. Like, don't do that. That's not good. Maybe try something a little bit like this. Now, you're going to think this looks corporate. I told them to go this way because I wanted to show you guys a good safe option for a baseline, but what you're going to need to do is really know the culture of your company. They may come in and interview in a graphic tee, but you don't show up in a graphic tee. Show up in a cool dress with a blazer. Show up in a really cool shirt with an awesome pattern on it. This is an opportunity for you to take what you know, take your eye for design, and show them that you have that without it being on a piece of paper. You're going to be a representation of your skills. Also, Derek is a Wake Tech grad, and he works at Ignite Social Media now as one of our community managers. He works on fabric care. So if he told me I could put that in there, and I thought I'd want to throw him a star. All right, cool. So what should you be doing before your interview? I wanted to talk to, I call this the legwork because you need to do this before you get into actually seeing the person, because we're going to check this before you come in. So this is going to be, again, kind of simple, but if you want to work in social, you really need to be active on social. And what I mean by that is I don't expect you to come in and be an expert. I don't expect you to know Facebook's algorithms and how that's going to affect the content and how many people are going to see it. But I expect that you know a little bit about social and that you can talk a little intelligently about it. An easy way to do that is by, shocker, being active on your social channels. And I don't know if you guys have really touched on this before, but you need to make a LinkedIn account. Whether you're going in for a creative or not creative job, LinkedIn shows that you understand that it's important to all industries. And this is a business, it's going to help you in business. And one easy way to boost yourself up with your LinkedIn account is create it and then ask your friends, ask your classmates, ask your professor to write you a recommendation. Because this is going to provide you a sense of credibility in the workplace without even having to have a job yet. You work with these people every day, all day in your classes. Why not give them a little bit of recommendation so that they can give you a recommendation? It's good. It's really easy to do. You also need to get very friendly with your privacy settings on social. We know you're interesting people. We know you have lives outside of work. We know you have lives outside of school. And we know sometimes those involve parties, pictures. But what we also know is that it's very easy now to enact some sort of privacy setting on your social channels. And if you don't take the time to do that, it's going to come across as lazy and like you don't really want the job. It's also just the stuff you don't want your employer to see. No matter how cool the company feels, you should present yourself as a professional first, and then let them know that you have fun. Yeah.
Do they think, like, for your Instagram account, do they see it as a bad thing that your Instagram is private and you can't see other pictures? Or they say, oh, they're hiding something?
Nope, I wouldn't say they would see it as a bad thing. I would say they see that you are smart enough to know that you want your Instagram account to be private. For whatever reasons you want it to be private, we don't even know. You made it private. So that's great. You took this step to cover yourself, make sure you're good. That's what I would do. And my Facebook is so private that I don't even, people I work with are still like, I don't know if I can find you. So I have to go find them. I'm a big proponent of privacy on things that have pictures. I'm gonna say don't make your Twitter account like super hard to find. Twitter is a good way for you to like LinkedIn, it's a good way to show that you know what's going on in the industry. So I was going to talk about Twitter next, which is great, because I want you guys to use Twitter for good and not evil. If you're looking at your Twitter feed and you're seeing things like, man, I don't want to go to class today, it's so nice out, why can't I be outside, this is boring, blah, blah, blah. That's all your employer's going to see. So instead, maybe if you're writing out a tweet that's like, man, I hate this food, I don't want to eat pizza again, think about what you're writing and take a minute. You really need to post that? No. What you should be posting is stuff, I would say a good mix, maybe 60-40 of industry articles with your opinion on them, or like graphic designs that you find that are really interesting, sharing that on your social, to 40% stuff that you like to do in your regular day life. Like, man, I love this album. This new video game is awesome. Or, man, I'm getting back into Diablo and I forgot how fun it was. That is going to show us that not only are you a professional and you understand what's going on in the industry, but you have interest outside of life, outside of work, which is really important. Nobody wants to work with somebody who's going to be so stuck up all the time. You need to have interest. We want you to be fun and interesting and own that. So the moral of the story here is be yourself, but be aware that we're going to check your social channels, especially if you're looking to get into social, because obviously we know how to stalk on social. All right, so you made it to the interview. It's time for the charm bomb to explode in the interview. I love Bob's Burgers. That's one of the things that I wanted to incorporate in here as some of the things that I like to do outside of work. So I've got a couple steps for you guys to ensure success at your interviews. Step one, you need to prepare yourself. I've said it a million times here. I'm going to say it again. The company's culture, the company's clients, the company's work, it's really, really important to know. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort for you to go to their website, to go to their social channels, scroll through, make a couple notes like, hey, I like what you did with X brand. Hey, this is cool. You guys have a kegerator in your office and you have picnics every Friday outside. That's cool. That's awesome. You know about the clients. You know about the culture. The next step you need to do, you need to have some industry knowledge. So Mashable, Creativity Online, Adage, these are all great tools for you guys to go to look for things that are happening in the industry. Don't just go and read the water cooler stuff. I get sucked into it. I spend a lot of time on the water cooler section of Mashable watching like cat videos and like unlikely animal friendships and stuff, and that's awesome. It's good for a break, but you need to be able to talk about what's going on in social, and it's pretty easy. There's other sections outside of water cooler, business, social, tech that you can talk about. Trending topics on social platforms is another big one, especially, again, for social media. It used to be more difficult to find out, but Facebook and Twitter, boom, you log in, it's right there. If you're doing it on mobile on Facebook, hit search, all of your trending topics are up there. So it's, again, you kind of have to do that if you're going into a social interview. So like if you're going to go into an interview this week, I would say bring up the dress and ask your interviewer what color you thought it was. Whether you're over it, whether you're tired of talking about it, you know that it happened and that was a big deal for pretty much everybody. I also just want to know who thought it, white and gold. No, blue and black, everybody else?
Yeah, black.
All right. Blue and gold. See, and it's a good icebreaker to talk to you about it in your interview. Say you come in, maybe you're a little bit nervous, like, oh, I saw this cool, do you see the dress? There's 5 minutes of it, and I know we're all sick of hearing
When I
about
first
it.
came out, I was like, what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, but it's
Please
funny.
post a picture if you're going to be.
Isn't it weird? It's really funny that that's why it was so social, so viral, is because you guys could see different colors, and at the same time you'd be like, "What are you talking about? This is so obviously white, gold, blue, black," and then you would have a huge. That's why it became such a big deal. And we're all gonna get sick of talking about it, but you've got another couple weeks until you do. Also, you need to have some personal knowledge. So show up with some questions for your interviewers. Whether that is, what's your favorite part of the job? What do you think is the best strength for a graphic designer to have coming into this? If you don't have an answer, nothing's going to shut down that interview quicker than when I say, so you have any questions for me? And you go, no. Even if you had questions and they already answered them, say something more like, you know what I did, but after talking with you, I think I've got all the answers. I've written them down in my notebook, which is also a big deal. Bring a notebook. Whether you use it or not, shows that you're prepared and you're ready. And bring more than one pen. Like, treat it like a test in school. And my step 2 is be yourself. We're rolling right back into own your personality, own your likes, own your hobbies, and talk about them when it becomes appropriate to talk about them in your interviewer. A good interviewer is going to want to know what you'd like to do outside of work because they're bringing someone into their team. And to craft a team, you need to make sure the personalities fit together too. So be passionate because passionate people are awesome employees. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water because I don't typically talk this much. I talk a lot, but I don't talk this much.
It's a good tip about being yourself. I think another thing to remember is that you're not going to know all the answers, and it's okay to admit, maybe you don't know as much about a particular thing as the interviewer would hope that you would know. But if you fit together, if everybody thinks the personalities are a good mesh, then you can learn those skills.
Absolutely. We do not expect you to come in knowing all the ins and outs of social, knowing everything you need to do to make this creative, phenomenal. But what we do expect you to know is a little bit about social, have the drive to want to learn more about social, learn from your interviewers, learn from the people in the agency. You don't always just learn from your team. We are huge on collaboration across teams in the agency. So I work on a day-to-day basis with every single discipline in them. So as much as it's important for you to have that background knowledge, and you guys do, you have it, you're ready to go. You're ready to hit the job market. Don't let anybody tell you you're not. Like, if you've gotten to this place and you feel confident, you're good, you're ready to go. But it's important to have that knowledge and pair it with your personality, whatever that is, because you don't want to be, I don't want to work with a robot. That's why we still work with people. That's why my agency is a people agency as much as it can be, because people respond better to working with people. All right, so now we're going to get into tips that I got from our creative director. When I was given the chance to come here, I was like, let me ask my creative director what he looks for in a graphic designer. So I want you guys to have general tips and some specific tips to take with you. So, insider tips. Broken them down into the questions I asked and his answers. So what are some of the qualities you look for in a graphic designer? His answers are, originality in solving graphic problems is a really big one for him. And what he means by this is he knows that, and you guys should all know this too, it's really, really hard to make something that no one's seen before. Same sort of deal with music. It's hard to make something that no one's heard before. But there are new and innovative ways that you can look at things like typography, photography, color combinations that are going to show that you're interested in taking risks, but you understand the fundamentals of these designs and can play with that. That's a big one for him. The next one is understanding that you guys will need to work within some sort of limits in the professional environment. He says that you don't typically end up hearing about budgets in school. However, I know that's different here because now you guys are actually using budgets. You've got actual dollar values on this, and that's awesome. That's great. That's already set you up for success in the real world. It's very cool that your teachers are doing that. But it's also important to know that not only is money a factor, your time in an agency is a factor too. Your hours are budgeted. So you have an allotted amount of hours to work on your campaign. If you go over those hours, we're not necessarily being profitable on this campaign anymore. So it's important to be as efficient as possible with both your time and your money, and you need that stuff like understanding stuff like sometimes you're gonna have to go into stock photo websites and use stock photos. As much as we all hate them, as much as we don't want to, professional photography is not always going to be the answer. So understanding those limits is going to set you, you're already set up for success halfway there. And owning the work that you're showing. So he says that he's had a lot of people come into his interviews, and because you guys work in teams pretty frequently, he's seen several of the same campaign kind of over and over again. And it's fine if you can't really get around it. You guys work in teams. We as an agency work as a team. That's fine. What you really want to do when you come into an interview and you've got a collaborative piece of work is one, ideal situation, be able to pull out the sections of the project that you worked on and can own and say, oh, I did this, I was responsible for the topography in this, whatever you did. If you can't, because sometimes, you know, when you're in the creative process and everybody's throwing out ideas and you guys just kind of come to an idea at the end, at least tell them that it was a collaborative effort and that you contributed to the overall success of that project. Being upfront with it is key. But if you can pull out any part that you did specifically and own it, that's awesome. So the next question is, what should graphic designers be doing to help their chances get a job in social media? So the first thing you guys should be doing is taking the fundamentals you've already learned and tweaking them for social media. So a lot of the fundamentals are going to stay the same. You need to make eye-catching designs. They need to be pleasing to the eye. They need to grab your attention kind of across the board, whether that's print, whether that's social, no matter what. The difference here is that on social, the designs you create are going to be competing with a lot more competition, with banner ads, with videos, with work, with copies, with comments, with everything, instead of just your traditional print ad on your magazine, you're flipping through it. You've got a lot of visual stuff going on, and you have to know how to pull the reader, the consumer into your ad. So one way that you're going to find success doing this is keeping your designs simple. Simplicity is going to be one of your best friends when you're working in social. Complicated Photoshop compositions are great, but simplicity is going to go better. So think about Oreo dunking in the dark. Does anybody remember that Super Bowl a couple times ago? We lost power. Not Super Bowl, was that? That was March Madness, right? We lost power, and Oreo sent out a tweet where they were dunking in the dark, and it was a black tweet, and they were dunking in the dark. It was a big deal then, but something as simple as that and being as quick on your feet as that is going to be able to help you. There wasn't like Oreos on a mountain or they're flying on a plane or anything. It was just an Oreo. The next question is, what tools should I have in my arsenal to help land a job in social media? So social designers, people who are designing for social, should have a little extra tools, because they need to understand that your graphics need to be more shareable. That's what I mean when I say life and virality here. Your graphics need to be viral. Best case scenario, your graphics going to go viral. That's awesome. But in order to do that, you should bulk up on the tools that will help you sell yourself in a competitive marketplace and let people know that you understand the way that these graphics work. So Adobe Creative Suite, that's a given. I'm sure you guys are all well versed in it. But don't forget about InDesign and Premiere. I know a lot of people are thinking InDesign's layout. Why would I use InDesign? It's going to help you show your presentations if you have multiple pages of stuff. If you have multiple presentation decks that you've worked on, that'll help show them in a way that is going to make sense to your interviewer. Premiere is going to help by just letting people know that you've taken the extra time to look into something that's not going to, that maybe isn't a traditional in your studio fundamental classes. Like having a little bit of extra information about video editing can only be helpful for you. It's not going to hurt you, and it's actually going to be a boost, because I know a lot of teams don't have people who specialize in video editing. So knowing that you've taken that little extra step is good for you. The next thing I'm going to say is experience with website design. I would hope that you guys have had a chance to look at websites, play with websites a little bit. That's good. It would make sense now because we all go with them. I can't tell you how annoying it is to be like, oh, I'll just check their website, and I can't even find a website. So that's important, but also what's important with this is that a lot of social programs use things like wireframes. And I don't know if you guys have had a chance to talk about wireframes. So does anybody know about wireframes? Okay, good. You do? Yeah, a little bit?
I know what it is.
Yeah, cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about wireframes in a little bit. I have a slide of what a designer creates based on a wireframe to show you guys. And so we'll go into that. But first, I want to show you examples of some of the content that we've created. These are our clients. And these are examples of their Facebook, their Twitter, and Facebook again. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I say simplicity. It's very easy to kind of get the overall idea here. This one did really, really well on social because it was a foolproof way to figure out that necklace link you wanted to get your girl. That did really well on social because people shared it and was like, this is great, this is helpful for me, and it's simple. This is, you guys ever go to Craigslist and troll misconnections? Ever? Yeah, right? So it's funny, that's why it's called travel misconnections. So what we did here was we decided we wanted to come up with some ideas on what if you were traveling in Istanbul and you saw somebody and you sent out a misconnection, and that was this hospitality brand's idea for making creative. So we got to make really fun pieces of art that were, this one's Istanbul, we had other ones from like beaches and mountains, and we got to use those really beautiful imagery. And we paired each of them with this copy here. And so the copy was created by our community managers because they are brand experts. They know the brand's tone, how the brand wants to sound on social. So we worked together with people who are experts in both fields to make something that's going to be successful overall. Cool. So this is just some other examples of some of the content that we've done. I wanted to show you guys ones that didn't get pulled from a social channel, but could be used in social channels, could be used on websites, any other sort of way. Some of our clients, we've had apothic wines, so yes, you can work with alcohol brands. And they're a lot of fun. There's also a lot of legal stuff that happens when you work with alcohol brands, which is interesting. You wouldn't know about that. So, because when you work with an alcohol brand, you have to make sure that the majority of their audience is of legal age, because you are marketing our alcohol. So that's interesting to know. And then we also worked with Samsung visual display televisions. So again, these are all pretty simple. Wireframes, let's talk about wireframes. So when you get into an agency, you're going to have, hopefully, someone that, like we have a user experience person, so UX person. So her job is to make sure that any social program that we're creating has a great flow for the user, so the user's not like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do, this is weird, I can't even sign in, this is strange. So when we're not designing for social pages, we're designing for campaigns. So she makes her flow chart, think of it like a big flow chart. I didn't bring one here, but essentially it's something like 1, you would sign in here, and then 2, you would go to here and enter your stuff, and then 3, you're done. So this is your completed. Awesome. She makes that actual design, and then, or the actual document, and then you as a designer would take that document and then create something like this. So this is a very pared down version of what actually the wireframe looked like. But essentially this, you've got your slide here, your picture here, which has got your welcome page. This gives you all of the information about the campaign. You say, okay, cool, this is awesome, I want to enter. I'll click enter, and then you'll be fed up this next page here, which you can put all of your information and confirm that you're over 21, submit. And then you're taken to the actual page where you take an action, upload a photo, or pick one of their photos to upload. So that is how you work with something, work with a wireframe to make success happen with your actual campaign. Does that make sense? Is that what you kind of thought about with wireframes?
Yeah, it's just a way to see, it helps you visualize it more. Yeah,
and it gives
like
you,
map it out, kind of, right?
Yeah, yeah. And as a designer, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the kind of content you're supposed to put in it, so it lets you really play with the aspect of how it looks instead of making sure
the
that
visual instead of the content.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about what goes here. All you have to, like language-wise, all you have to worry about is creating it so that it makes sense for people who are entering the campaign. Okay, so my last question I asked him was, is there something that you guys should be cautious about when you're going into interviews? And so what I got from him was, sometimes you'll be asked your opinion on the company's work. A lot of interviewers like to go in and say, so what did you think about this piece of content or this creative. And this should feel, again, commonsensical, but you're going to want to give your opinion honestly, but you're going to want to do it in a careful manner. Honesty is important. Having a voice, especially in our agency, you are expected to have an opinion, and whether that opinion bodes well with everybody else it's really up to you to make sure that you take the time and respect people's work. Because if your interviewer's asking it, you really have no idea if they made that piece of creative. One tip is to treat the company like they're your client. Sometimes you have to be honest with clients. Maybe clients saying, oh, we really need a graphic for our December launch of this, and I want to put flip-flops on it. Why do you want to put flip-flops on it? Because I don't know that that's really going to convey winter. Maybe you're thinking of something, client, that we're not quite getting yet. Maybe you can explain that to us, because we feel like winter is probably better suited with snowflakes or a hat or like skis, something wintry. There's a way to talk to your clients like that that's respectful and still lets them know that you're the expert in this. They pay you to be the expert and understand what's going to work for them on social. So my favorite tip for when you have to give feedback is try the sandwich method. So do you guys have critiques in your studio classes? Yeah, so in a critique, especially when I did critiques when I was back in school, I would start off with something good, my first piece of bread. I really like the way that, let's go back. Let's use this as an example. I really like the way that the font looks here. My filling, my middle, is what my opinion is on what I would change. So I like the way that the font looks here, but maybe we could have done something in blue. Maybe blue would have been fun, or traditional country colors. Could we have tried that? And then you would end it with, but overall I still feel like it's a really engaging piece of content. Something good, something like your opinion, and then something good at the end, sandwich. Yeah?
What if you're asked to critique something you don't really know or you're kind of neutral about?
I feel
kind of wing it, or do you?
I feel like you could say, honestly, I'm not sure what I would have done differently here. And then instead of just leaving it with that, because that feels kind of weak, say why. I don't have anything else I would have done here because I really like the way that this font looked. I really think these color choices were bold and fresh and innovative, and I don't know that I would have changed anything. And I think that's a good way to get around feeling neutral about something, because it's okay to feel neutral about something. Sometimes your opinion is that you don't really have an opinion, and that's fine. But you still have to find a way to explain to your interviewer, or at least let your interviewer know that there's a reason you don't have anything to say here, because you liked what it looked like. Okay, so back to this awesome slide with these lovely ladies. Let's say you got your job. Awesome, you're ready to go. Let's hit the road. It's time to get working in social. So you're going to start working with clients now. And here's an example of some of the clients that we work with currently and some of our past clients. You're going to see a lot of big name brands here, and you have the potential to work with lots of big name brands too. But whether you're working with these Fortune 500 companies or whether you're working with maybe a smaller company, a local company, no matter what you're doing, you are going to want to make sure your client is successful. It's kind of what it comes down to at the end of the day, because if they're not successful, you're not successful. That's one of our pillars at Ignite. One of the actual core values we have is called client success, and we say it all the time. If my client's not successful, I am not successful. So two ways that we ensure that our clients are successful include these. So a discovery call with a client. That's when we get everybody who's on the team for this client. So whether they're graphic, whether they're analytics, whether they're me, I'm going to be running a promotion or something for them. We get them all together in a room, and we hear from the client firsthand what their goals are, what their objectives are, what their brand guidelines are. Then we take all of that information, we digest it, because it's typically like an hour-long data dump of information. We digest it, and then we start adhering to brand guidelines. Did you have a question? Nope.
No.
Okay. We start adhering to those brand guidelines, because you become the advocate for that. That's really going to be where your expertise shines, is owning those brand guidelines. So cool, you've got the brand guidelines under your belt, you're creating pieces of content for this client. Once that's done, we have internal reviews with our team. So we get that whole team together again, where we basically go through a critique for you as the client. And it gives us the chance to make sure that we can flag anything that the client would see as a big problem before the client sees it. Or we can say, hey, this looks awesome, and there's nothing I would change. Which is ideal, but not what always happens. Then, say your content's done, your creative's done, it's wrapped up in a pretty bow, it's ready to go to the client. We don't just send them that in an email. We actually do have to pick up the phone and call them, which is annoying because nobody does that in social anymore. That's what we have social for, right? We don't pick up the phone and call anybody. But it's really important for your clients to do that because it makes your client feel like they have a partner. They work with you and they're not alone in this. Because if you just give them an email and just say, hey, okay, I'm done, it feels like, okay, I'm done. Instead of it feels like, hey, here's this piece of content, I want to show you why I did this and why it fits with your goals. So that's how we as an agency make sure our clients are successful. I asked our creative director how you as a creative could make sure that your clients are successful. So his answers are, know those objectives and goals, not just for the campaigns that you're working on, not just for the creative you're working on now, but for their whole strategy. Because we make the strategies year long. So the strategy will shift as the months shift. You'll see a lot of that with marketing. Makes a lot of sense. So knowing their overall goals is important. You also want to know your client's voice and tone, which is copy. That's the words, that's the language. You probably already know this. And their look and feel, the visuals. Those are just some keywords that if you didn't know, they're good to have in your back pocket. Because they're pretty good, pretty consistent marketing jargon to have with you. So you're also going to be working with vendors. And I hear that you are already doing that, I think. You've called vendors, asked them questions, that kind of stuff. Cool. So when you work with vendors, it's important to remember that you represent the client. You are the advocate for the client at that time. So your job when you work with vendors is really to ensure that the vendor's brand, the vendor understands their brand guidelines and their graphic standards. So that means sometimes you have to play the bad guy. Sometimes you have to police the vendor because as a vendor, maybe a vendor wants creative license and they just throw in all of this awesome stuff and they're throwing in hot pinks and they've got filigree and there's brocade everywhere and you're like, this is not going to work for my speaker brand. Like, I don't understand what's going on. So you then have to say, hey vendor, I like what you did here, but let's tone it down a notch. We've got some pretty strict brand guidelines we need to follow. This is kind of outside of what we're doing here. And let me pick up the phone and talk you through them. Let me walk you through these brand guidelines. Because maybe that'll make more sense now instead of just giving them to you. It's because at the end of the day, if the vendor messes up and it gets to the client, it's not the vendor's fault. It's your fault as the creative person for not giving them enough information to work with in the beginning. So the types of vendors that we work with on a more regular basis are photographers, videographers, and then designers with specific skills. So what I mean by that is, say, like animation. That's why I say, hey, check out Premiere. Because sometimes when we get really busy or we need a specific skill, we outsource to some other vendors and we'll freelance with them. But it's typically when somebody has a skill like animation that our expertise is just not in. We're not using it on a day-to-day basis. So that's when we outsource to our clients, to our vendors.